8th, 2025. It is 6:30 p.m. This is a regular meeting of the Catalina Foothills Governing Board. On behalf of the board, I want to welcome everyone to tonight's meeting. Members of the public, well, actually, no one from the public is attending in person, but there may be some public members attending remotely this evening through YouTube Live. In a few minutes, I'll read the rules of order for public comment at governing board meetings. If you wish to make a comment remotely, you should have signed up using the Google form that is available under the YouTube Live description. If you do not see the link to the Google form to speak, you can refresh your YouTube live stream. If everyone would please now rise and join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. The Governing Board welcomes public comments at its meetings by providing 2 opportunities for the public to address the board. If your topic of interest is not on the agenda, you may address the board during the public comment time slot near the beginning of the meeting, or if the topic is on the agenda, you may speak just prior to the discussion of that agenda topic. If you're joining remotely and wish to make a public comment, you should have already submitted the Google form provided with the YouTube link. Speakers will be called upon when it is your turn to address the board. You may choose to enable your camera. As a reminder to remote attendees who wish to speak, please unmute your microphone when called upon. Each speaker has 3 minutes to address the board. The sound of a buzzer indicates the end of your 3 minutes. In the event of a large number of speakers, the board may need to limit that time so that we can conduct the business on the agenda. By law, the board cannot discuss, consider, or vote on topics that are not on the agenda. This assures the community that they are aware of the topics that will be discussed this evening. If you wish to discuss a topic through written communication, board members' contact information can be found on the district website. We appreciate the community's attendance and comments at this meeting. Thank you. Item 1.4 on our agenda is outstanding achievements, and those will be presented by Dr. Denise Bartlett, our superintendent.
Thank you. I'm pleased to highlight the many outstanding achievements that we have to celebrate this evening. Our first one is the 2025 Keys Research Interns, and we have 2 students from Catalina Foothills High School, William Jacobson and Inara Smith. They've been selected for the Keys Award. It's the research internship at the University of Arizona's Bio5 Institute. They're among 66 high school students from 35 schools across Arizona who were chosen for this. It's a 7-week summer program which runs from July 2nd to July 18th. And KEYS stands for Keep Engaging Youth in Science. And it's an internship that empowers students to work alongside top research faculty, contributing to real-world bioscience projects that use cutting-edge biotechnology and data analysis techniques. So it's really exciting for those students. Our CTE early childhood students, we're proud to recognize their exceptional accomplishments at the recent Arizona Proficiency and Family Career and Community Leaders of America STAR event competitions. The students demonstrated creativity, leadership, and a deep understanding of early childhood education through their impressive performances. So I'm going to highlight several of them. Audrey Fiore earned the silver medal in the art of storytelling. Abigail Knutson received a gold medal in Toys That Teach. Emma Harfant was awarded the bronze in the entrepreneurship category. Baba Sarsha earned the silver medal for her leadership presentation, and Sophia Venning was elected to the state leadership officer position. So yeah, they're under the guidance of Miss Brenda Carbaga, and they're very dedicated and passionate to our early childhood program. So it was really nice to see in its infancy, really. Yes. Our program is really in its infancy. At Esparro Canyon Middle School, we're proud to share that the band, under the direction of Mr. Corey Walovich, received a superior rating at the Arizona Band and Orchestra Directors Association Band Festival in February at Queen Creek High School, and it's their third consecutive year receiving that honor. So that's really outstanding. Congratulations to the band for continuing to set that high standard of excellence. Our Catalina Foothills High School Choir earned a gold rating and placed second at the concert choir category in 3A division at the Nashville Heritage Festival. And as a result of their exceptional performance, the choir has been invited to perform in Chicago in 2026 as part of the prestigious Elite Festival of Gold. So a special highlight of the trip, the choir performed an original composition by CFHS student Carter Farrell. I'm hoping maybe he might be one of the recipients of our Arts Seals, maybe, for his composition. That could be part of that. We also celebrate senior Meryl Abdelmessiah, who was honored as the only student at the festival to receive a World Strides Ovation Award for her outstanding mentorship of incoming students in the choir program. So, you may know Renee Shane Boyd, our Director of Bands for 42 years. She has been named a finalist for the Exemplary Educator Award at the Metro Education Commissioner's upcoming event to Empower Ed on May 9th. This is a special event that coincides with Teacher Appreciation Week and builds on 3 decades of honoring educational excellence through the Crystal Apple Awards. So you might have known it as the Crystal Apple Awards. The exemplary educators are individuals who demonstrate exceptional service to learners and empower them on their journey toward prosperity. And Renee Shane Boyd is in that category. So you know Miss Shane Boyd for a long time. She's received many recognitions. She has made our band renowned in the state and has taken them on many competitions. So we are incredibly proud to see Renee's extraordinary career and service recognized on such a prestigious stage. So we're hoping that she, and I will be at that event on May 9th with her, as well as I think Mr. Lambert will be there as well. So we'll hope that she's successful in earning that award. The CFHA's choir, senior Finch Silverman, was awarded first chair in the tenor section for the 2025 Arizona All-State Choir. Finch, along with seniors Fox Foster and Sienna Mayfield, as well as juniors Carter Farrell and Louisa Stein, and freshman Avisa Victory, will be traveling with Mr. Evans to Northern Arizona University in mid-April to participate in the All-State Music Festival. And the singers will unite as part of a 200-voice choir made up of all the best singers from around the state of Arizona. So that's exciting. Our FBLA State Conference success. This year, the Computer Science Club had 14 students compete in presentation events at the FBLA State Leadership Conference. In addition, 12 students took objective tests. 2 teams made it to the final rounds of the competition. One team, Caitlin Trail and Calvin Matthew, was in the mobile application development, and William Jacobson, Wyatt Miller, and Gordon Kim in data analysis. William, Wyatt, and Gordon took first place in their event and qualified to go to the National Leadership Conference over the summer. Star Talk, this is really interesting. We're proud to share that 2 of our CFHS students, Jalen Peterson and Sophie Collins, have been selected to participate in the prestigious Star Talk Chinese language program at the University of Arizona. So Star Talk is a federal program funded by the National Security Agency, and it supports the study of critically needed world languages in the United States. This year's program, the Chinese Pathways in Arizona, offers an immersive Mandarin Chinese experience and provides 1 University of Arizona credit upon successful completion. So they're earning credit as well. With a highly competitive applicant pool from across the nation, Jalen and Sophie were selected for their exceptional proficiency and strong interviews. Were they part of the immersion program, Ms. Castro? So they've come up through the immersion program and now have very strong proficiency. And finally, I want to recognize our SARCEF winners and participants in the district. We had 63 projects recognized at the SARCEF Awards. We had 10 projects from Canyon View. We had 12 from Catalina Foothills High School. We had 7 from Esparro Canyon Middle School, 6 from Manzanita, 1 from Orange Grove, 14 from Sunrise Drive, 1 from Valley View,
Oh my gosh.
and 12 from Ventana Vista. The awards included, we had 16 first place awards, we had 15 second place awards, we had 14 third place awards, we had 5 SARSEF board awards, and we had 1 each of the Cordell Family Award, the TEP Award, and the WCG Award for 3rd grade, and the WCG Award for 4th grade. So we're very proud of all of our SARSEF participants and winners, and it was a great showing for our district with 63 total projects recognized.
Amazing.
Yeah, so that is it. Yeah.
That's all?
That's
All,
it?
well,
What
when you
else?
see the border tomorrow, all of those
Yes,
names
names
and
will
all
be
of the
in
projects will be listed, so I think our border is about 6 pages
Right.
roughly right now, so it'll be a very long but fruitful border for all of these accomplishments.
Thank you for sharing.
Mm-hmm.
Always great to hear. This is the time set for our public comments. I have no one in the audience, and neither is there anyone online who has requested to speak. So I will close the public comments and go on to our consent agenda. Does any board member have any items that need to be pulled for discussion or questions or comments?
Yes, can I pull 3.1 and 3.4, please?
3.1, 3.4. Anything else? As to the remaining items, is there a motion?
Surely there is. I move the governing board approve consent agenda items 3.2, the governing board April 1, 2025 executive session meeting minutes as presented, 3.3, the expense voucher memorandum as presented, 3.5, the fundraising memorandum as presented, 3.6, the personnel memorandum as presented, 3.7, the acceptance with gratitude of the gifts and donations memorandum as presented.
Thank you. There's a motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Motion and a second. All those in favor of passing those items on the, just listed on the consent agenda, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. That will bring us then to the 2 individual items that were pulled. Item 3.1, Tom.
Yeah, this is a minor correction, but within the minutes, 3.5, approval of the fundraising request memorandum has Catalina Foothills High School as the header, but it's an Orange Grove activity under that.
And that is on
The
page
bottom of
12.
12? No.
All of the packet.
Oh, 12 in the packet. I don't have, I'm not looking.
I know,
at
I'm
it,
trying
so I-
to-
Okay.
It's
sorry.
section 3.5. if
Section
that helps.
3.5.
The minutes.
Oh, got it. Okay, section 3.5.
Yeah.
So it's a typographical error, not a
Yes.
substantive change. Any questions about that? Okay. May I have a motion as to 3.1, please?
I move the governing board approve consent agenda item 3.1, the approval of April 1, 2025 regular governing board meeting minutes as amended.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor of approving item 3.1 as amended, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Tom, item 3.4.
This one's more of just a comment. When I was reviewing the field trip for the upcoming field trip approvals, HOSA, which is the Held Occupations Group, has their field trip to Vegas for Animatage, I think is how it's pronounced.
I know.
And I was curious about that, and I looked on YouTube. You can actually go and view the competition from 2024, also in Vegas. And I just wanted to bring this up because it's this absolutely amazing event where you basically have an iPad-ish device the size of a table that has a virtual cadaver on it. And there's a timed competition where you're given a task and you've got all the kids flipping around and rotating the cadaver and pulling the muscular layer off and just bringing up the skeletal layer and pointing to the different, and it's an amazing showcase of anatomical knowledge.
Interesting.
But you can go on YouTube and just type in 2024 Animatage and actually see the timed competitions.
Is it like real-time operation?
It kind of,
A
Remember that
little
game?
bit, yeah.
but a lot
Yes.
faster than you would want your
Yeah.
surgeon to go. But I just wanted to bring that up because I think it's just such a great example of these really cool things that our kids get to do.
I wonder if that's the technology that they're using at the JTED building that they just built, the whole medical, because remember they were talking about electronic cadavers?
Yep.
Yes.
I wonder if it's that
It
same,
is.
it is that same
is.
technology, isn't that crazy?
But we have one at our high school.
We do,
We have
I didn't know
that
that.
table at our high school, yes.
that's amazing.
And who accesses that? Is that used, that's used in
The CTE,
anatomy?
yeah, so.
CTE
yes,
classes, yeah.
So all of
'Cause
those,
we have an anatomy class.
we do.
Very cool.
Well, that is very cool. Learning outside the classroom. That heading. Amazing. Thank you for sharing that. As to item 3.4, is there a motion?
I move the governing board approve consent agenda item 3.4, the approval of field trip request memorandum as presented.
Second. Thank you. There's a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Aye. Motion carries. Oh, sorry, I'm supposed to ask for opposed, even though all 5 of us said we agree. Any opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Item 4.1 on the agenda is approval of revisions to policy IHB and regulation IHB-R, special instructional programs. This is a second reading and a potential action item this evening, presented by Associate Superintendent Mindy Westover.
Good evening. This is the second reading of the revision to policy IHB and regulation IHB-R special instruction programs. After the first reading, there were no recommended revisions, and so the revisions that you see are the ones that we went through at the first reading. The overall policy revisions were that they were going to allow the superintendent to appoint a designee, rewording of a couple of paragraphs in section A and in section F for clarity and readability. And of course, the adoption date would be changed to today, April 8th, if approved. And the revisions to the regulation. Under section D, include the language but reside within the school district attendance boundaries to clarify who the district will identify, locate, and evaluate. Under the discipline section, change the title of Director of Special Education to Director of Special Services. And under the evaluation eligibility section, revise the statement under the completion of the evaluation process to include the statement of the group of persons knowledgeable about the child, meaning of the evaluation data, and placement options are included in the evaluation process. There was also a statement placed a statement that the placement of a student is made in conformity with 34 CFR 104.34, including video conferencing and the options for parents and legal guardians, and then making other spelling and grammatical errors in that regulation. Are there any questions?
Following our discussion last week, are there any board members who have any questions or comments or areas of discussion for this policy? We took care of it all first reading.
Wonderful.
Thank you. Would someone care to make a motion?
I move that the governing board approve the revisions to policy IHB and regulation IHB-R special instructional programs as presented.
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to approve agenda item 4.1. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye?
Okay, any opposed? That motion carries 5-0. Item 4.1 is approved. That brings us to 4.2. Approval of revisions to policy IHBA and regulation IHBA-RA, special instructional programs and accommodations for disabled students. Again, this is a second reading. This is an action item for this evening. Ms. Westover.
Thank you. This is the second reading of policy IHBA and the regulation IHBA-RA. After the first reading, no additional changes were recommended on this as well. The revisions are being recommended to include the contact information of the Director of Special Services and the Section 504 coordinator in accordance with the requirements set forth by the Office of Civil Rights. The revisions included changes were made to policy IHBA and the regulation to improve clarity. Under the procedural safeguard section, the title of the Director of Special Services was added specifically as a 504 coordinator who is to receive the request for a due process hearing. And then the contact phone number for the Director of Special Service was also updated. And then the adoption date will be changed to April 8th today if approved. Are there any questions on IHBA?
As the previous policy, this was brought to us last week. It was reviewed and discussed then. There was no recommended changes, and therefore, if no one has any other questions, comments, or matters to be discussed within purview of this particular policy and regulation, I will entertain a motion.
I move the governing board approve the revisions to policy IHBA and regulation IHBA-RA, special instructional programs and accommodations for disabled students as presented.
Second?
Oops, sorry. Jacqueline gets the second. Thank you. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving agenda item 4.2, please say aye.
Aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed. Motion carries 5-0. And our final matter under unfinished business, again, is a second reading of approval of item 4.3, approval of revisions to the K-12 Gifted Education Programming Framework. This evening, we do have with us Cheryl Castro, Executive Director of Curriculum and Assessment. And so we will turn it over to you.
Thank you. Thank you to Dr. Bartlett for presenting this last week when I was out of town. As you know, the Arizona revised statute requires us to submit our scope and sequence to ADE every 5 years. So this is the revision that we're submitting for your approval. I heard that there were several changes requested, so we'll go to those first, and then if you have other questions, just let me know. So on the first revision, I thank you on pages 19, 35, 36, 46, and 40. Oh, I always forget we have to go to the board packet. That's easier for you, isn't it? If you start on page 109, 125, 126, 136, and 137, we changed AZ merit to state achievement test or test. That was a great idea. Thank you for suggesting that. So that'll avoid future revisions of that particular phrase. Then on page 110, this is the page that I heard there was the greatest amount of confusion about. It's page 20 of the gifted framework, page 110 in your packet. I wrote that we rewrote this page. That's more like we edited the page for greater clarity.
Right.
Mostly we put in as you suggested, the idea of honors/AP to make it clearer. We took out some phrases that we thought were confusing that didn't need to be there. And so I'd like your idea, if you've all read it, and that seemed to be the page that was the most confusing for everyone. Is there anything on the page? Does it provide greater clarity now, or do we need to tighten it up a bit more?
I know from my perspective, because I know I wasn't the only one who voiced concerns there, but it did clear it up for me. I appreciate the way it now designates the course type.
Thank you.
The only thing that, it did clear it up very well, thank you for that. The only place where I think we might still need to improve it, still staying on page 20, bottom of that paragraph, which is at the second paragraph on the page, the last sentence, it says students may earn honors credit on their transcripts by consistently performing at higher levels whilst enrolled in a non-honors course. Clearly that, on the one hand, clearly that pertains to the sentence prior where it says honors credit within a standard course is another option. However, that's not always an option. It's only in certain courses where that is an option. And I think the way it's currently written implies that any student in any class who is earning a 3.5 or above would automatically receive that honors credit. So in my opinion, those last two sentences made some improvement, please.
Can I ask, so Gina, are you saying that so you think the way this is written here implies that in any class that a student earns a 3.5 and above would qualify that student for honors credit in a standard
Yeah, because the
class?
prior sentence just says honors credit within a standard course is
Is
another
another
option
option.
for students. It doesn't say that that's only offered in some classes
Okay.
where that's not an option. It's not offered in all classes.
Is that
Still
correct?
true. I think
It's
that's
certain-
still true, right?
Is that correct?
Well, not all standard courses offer, although most do. But, so I could change it to say honors credit within a standard course, parentheses,
In which?
where HC is reflected. When
Right.
the students open up the course handbook, they see in the title, a superscript, HC is listed, so they know all the
Yes.
courses where honors credit is
As
offered.
designated HC in the course guide or some kind of
So I could add
reference
that
like
parenthetical.
You could add that parenthetical, and then I also think the last sentence needs to very clearly state, students may earn honors credit on their transcripts by consistently performing at higher levels in those HC designated classes.
While enrolled in those designated
Yeah, words to that
non-honors
effect.
courses.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, what you highlighted is exactly how I read and understood that.
Mm-hmm.
It applied across the board.
Yeah.
All right, so I could add then after that, by consistently performing at higher levels while enrolled in designated honor courses,
No, they're not honors courses.
Honors
They're
credit course.
honors credit courses.
In those, well,
Just say those designated courses.
in those designated.
those
You know,
designated
you can
courses.
take out that word non-honors.
Yeah.
Just
Okay,
in those designated
Okay.
courses.
Yeah.
I think would be clear.
got it.
So,
Thank
yeah,
you.
because we're clarifying the prior
Yeah,
sentence.
yeah.
So the two things together, I think, make it sorts it out.
And does that just automatically happen when you achieve that grade, or is there some
In
kind
that
of
specific
teacher
class.
discretion?
In that class,
It's
if
right.
the class is an HC designated course.
Then it's just automatic. If you're at a 3.6, you receive honors credit.
You don't have to apply for it or anything.
Right.
It just happens.
And then on the transcript, an H appears, so it'll put A and then H, so that they know that it's turned into an honors course for them with honors credit.
Nice.
Are we good with page 20?
We're good with page 20.
Yay!
Like, yes, we can pass that page.
All right, let's move on then to one that I didn't put on the memo because it's already listed there. I heard that there was a question about parent input. And if you look at page 31 to 32, you'll see that parent input is outlined and described in the framework. So it's page 121 of your packet or page 31 of the framework. If you look under referral screening, about halfway down, it says, as a part of the nomination referral process, parents, guardians must, in writing, grant or withhold permission for testing. So that's part of the referral. Then if you jump down to where it says placement, and the second full sentence, as a part of the placement process, parents, guardians must grant or withhold permission for placement in gifted services in writing by completing and signing the permission of placement form.
Great.
And it continues on the other page for other places that parents have input, but, so it's outlined on pages 31 and 32. I was watching the board minutes the next day, and I was going, turn to page 31. Yelling into the camera, but thank you for that question. Then we're going to move down to the last question that I had, which was also another great idea that you had on page 45 of the framework or page 135 of your packet. We removed blooms and remind so that we, in case we come to a point where Parent Square is the old thing and if something new comes in, now the sentence reads,
Right.
CFSD schools use a digital communication tool to keep parents informed about the gifted program.
Particularly in a policy that doesn't require revision, but
Every 5
every
years.
5 years, I think that makes a lot of sense.
I could specify that one more if you want and say, CFSD schools use a district-wide digital communication tool, or just leave it alone. Okay.
It's fine way. So with respect to the changes that we recommended on page, was it 20?
20.
Are we comfortable that we can approve this policy with those changes, or does it need to come back for a third reading?
I'm comfortable, because I think we dictated the language, so I think we could probably do a motion as amended.
Would anyone prefer to see it as a third reading?
Are there no other questions or anything on it tonight?
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, then I'm fine. If there are no other changes, if those are the only ones, then I'm okay with it. If there are other ones, then I think it should come back.
That's it.
Does anyone have any other questions or suggested changes to this policy? Thank you for the
Thank you.
clarification and the responses to our questions in the
Oh.
first reading. Would someone like to make a motion?
I move the governing board approve the revisions to the K through 12 gifted education programming framework as amended.
Second?
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor of approving agenda item 4.3, please say aye.
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 Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Ms.
Thank
Castro.
you.
Thank you.
Our discussion and report item for this evening, 5.1, is our first look,
Of
and
many.
not our last.
Of many.
Our first of many looks at the fiscal year 2026 maintenance and operations budget.
Yes.
That will be presented to us by Dr. Bartlett. And, I just want to say, because this is the first of many looks and the first time some new board members are dealing with an M&O budget, and also as a reminder for those of us who have seen them in the past, it is a great time to ask questions about any particular line items that you're curious about or want a further explanation of.
And I will go, not
Yeah.
line by line, but I will hit all of the major lines that we're going to be discussing.
Terrific.
So,
Floor is
So-
yours.
yes, thank you. So this is the first of many, our maintenance and operation budget. It will be, you'll be looking at this almost every week now until we approve the budget by July 15th, right? Or, yeah, by July 1, actually. So this budget that we're going to propose to you, it sustains all of our student programs and services and the staffing support. Other than miscellaneous adjustments or in other areas of the budget, the new significant expenses are really related to compensation. And we are recommending the addition of a 1.5 FTE, but most of it is on all compensation. Of course, we know that successful recruitment and retention of employees is a critical function, and compensation is a major part of that recruitment and retention. So I'm going to go review some of the revenue assumptions. So we always make assumptions about the revenue. The first assumption is that we use our current daily membership. And our current daily membership is 4,574, and that's the basis of our funding, our funding assumption for next year. At our 100th day enrollment on January 17th, our enrollment was 4,909 students. Now, ADM is different than enrollment, and of course, kindergarten are only counted as half, so that's why our ADM and our enrollment are always much different. So our ADM, if you remember, means the average enrollment of fractional students and full-time students based on that 100th day, and how many days they attended of that 100th day. So a student who was here on the first day of school and was still here on the 100th day of school, we get 100% of that funding. But if they came on day 5 and we're still here on day 100, we get 95% of that. So it's all the fractional pieces of our ADM. So,
What if a student is just absent on the 100th, like is
oh,
sick that
absolutely,
day?
they're still enrolled.
Okay, they're still,
It's
oh, it's
about
enrollment.
Yes.
Okay, not
it's-
presence, but enrollment.
No, it's still,
Okay.
it's about enrollment.
Okay.
Yes, so,
So if somebody comes on the 99th day, we get 1% of their funding for the year?
it's very,
Wow.
Wow.
Yeah.
I'm not sure I learn something new every single budget process. So budget process number 13. I'm not sure I ever quite realized it.
it's all the fractional pieces.
So if someone moves over the winter holidays, we're getting 15% roughly, well, when they start back up, less than that. But they're still our kid through the end of the year.
Yes.
We're not, basically not getting funding for that.
Basically.
Wait, I didn't understand what you were saying. Can you say that
So,
again?
yeah, like, so if someone moves into district over.
On the
like-
105th day?
No, on like December, over like Christmas break.
So they
Okay.
start on
Winter break.
January 15th,
Right.
or the
then
January 7th.
They start January 7th when school comes back in session. They're our student for that entire second semester,
Right, but we only get,
but we're only getting,
That
yeah,
but what if they come on
Day 101.
February 1st? We get no funding.
Until the next year.
Right.
Until
they're
the
here.
next year. But with us being in current year funding, there are no adjustments for anybody who comes in after. I always understood current year funding that we would get adjustments for adds and subtractions, but
It's,
only through the
during
first
that
100
period,
days.
yes.
Okay, that is the nuance that
Yes.
is new
Wow.
for me this year.
Even the current year funding is kind of a misnomer in that way.
It really is, yeah.
On the second page, you can see our historical enrollment. So it goes from school year 15 all the way to school year 25. And you can see we hit a peak in school year 20 of 5,262. And we've been kind of going down. In 21, we went down to 5,062. We went up a little bit in 22. And then you can see for 23, 24, 25, we're continuing that downward.
Which, of course, harkens back to the conversation we had
Of course.
last week about enrollment trends,
Enrollment trends, birth
Facing.
rates,
country, the state,
yes.
county.
Empowerment
Everywhere.
accounts.
Empowerment accounts, yes. This is the trajectory that all of our counterparts in Pima County are experiencing with their enrollment. There are
Not
going
unique
down.
to us.
Yeah, with the exception of there's some growth out in Marana
Yeah.
because they have land out there. But most of the counterparts in Pima County, our school districts are experiencing the same reduction based on the trends and the birth rate. So our second assumption is that basic state funding will increase by 2%. So the legislation requires to increase the public school funding each year by the inflation rate or 2%, whichever's less. So we can always pretty much assume it's going to be 2% because the inflation rate obviously is much higher than 2%. But so we're going to assume that it's 2%, and that's typically correct. Our third assumption is that we're going to propose a transfer of $1,565,819 of additional assistance funds to our M&O, and that these funds are needed to pay for our compensation, as well as other minor adjustments in our budget. It's not all compensation, but a good portion of that will be compensation. For the current year, we were able to transfer back $884,000 of the money we transferred this year. And so any unspent DAA will be transferred back this year as well, for fiscal year 26 as well. This is, we use DAA to balance our budget. So it goes up and it goes down, we transfer, but that is how we balance our budget. So, and although Classroom Site Fund is not part of the M&O budget, it is a revenue stream for us. We do include it on our revenue page of the straw budget. So next year's pupil amount, they've given us a raise, $842 a student, which is a $50
Yeah,
per pupil raise, which is
great.
pretty significant, actually.
Sure.
That's great.
So we have, you will see that on our revenue page, that's allocated there.
How is that determined?
That's sales tax.
It's sales
That's the sales
tax,
tax,
yes.
okay.
So, you know, that could be, it can go up and go down. It's been pretty stable for the last 10 years, and really kind of since the recession, it's been pretty stable and kind of increasing each year. So we don't have any reason to believe that it's going to go down, but you never know. So after the assumptions, we're going to go through then the budget priorities. So I've outlined those at the top. We want to sustain our student programs and services and our staffing support to our enrollment needs. We want to maintain our current staffing ratios. We're going to really staff to our ratios at a higher rate. So not that we're changing our ratios, but we want to make our classrooms so that they are staffed appropriately. We are proposing to add a .5 certified counselor position at Canyon View Elementary School, and we want to increase our compensation. So assumption one, for our expenditures, we're committed to sustaining our student programs and services. We know that students' programs and services are what draw students to our district, and those students bring in our funding. So we propose to maintain that. We also want to maintain our current staffing ratios. It really impacts our ability and our faculty to differentiate learning and provide the experiences for a variety of the learners' needs. So we don't want to change our current staffing formulas. Our assumption 3 is adding that .5 position, counselor position at Canyon View Elementary School. As I think I stated before, during the pandemic and with our ESSER funding, we added counseling services to all of our elementary schools, middle school, and the high school. And Canyon View was the only school that did not receive additional counseling support at that time. So at this time, we are recommending that we increase their counseling support by a .5, which would ensure then that both Canyon View, Ventana Vista, and Sunrise Drive would each have 1.5 FTE counselors, and Manzanita would have two counselors based on their enrollment. So it would really make it more equitable.
And is that because Canyon View's population has increased to support that additional half?
It hasn't increased, but as you know, any student who does not, who is a resident of Ventana Vista and is choosing not to go into the Spanish immersion program,
They're going to Canyon View?
goes to Canyon View. And so there's been some increased needs that they've had for counseling services at Canyon View as a result. The projected cost of that is $38,849 based on our average teacher's salary at step 7 of $58,460. And then the fixed costs are another 20%. And then as a part-time employee, they're eligible for dental and vision benefits, not medical benefits, and that's an additional $1,684. So it's a total of $38,849 for that position. And then, of course, our assumption 4, which we propose funding salary and wage increases for all of our employees. And it says to increase the district, but we're going to maintain the district's contribution for medical insurance premiums. So during the 24-25 school year, there was a significant change that you approved to the certified salary schedule. We increased the base salary by $3,000. So every employee received an increase of $3,910. For the 25-26 school year, based on our budget projections and our enrollment, we're recommending that the first step of our professional teacher salary schedule remain at that $53,000. And then we recommend that each teacher receive a vertical step movement on that current schedule. So additionally, then we want to recommend that each returning teacher receive a $1,000 longevity addendum to their contract. So all returning teachers will receive an increase of $1,910 total compensation. And it's when you combine the step with the longevity addendum, the overall increase is between a 2.11 and a 3.48% increase, for an average of 2.7% increase for our certified staff. We propose an increase of 2% for our hourly wages for classified support. This would result in increasing our minimum wage to $15.78, which is a full $1 above what the state of Arizona minimum wage is. And that's for someone who's on the very first step of our wage schedule. So if they come in with more experience, they're going to be making more than that, so well above minimum wage. Of course, we need to be competitive with that. We also recommend adding 2% to the wage pool for our classified exempt employees and our administrators as well. And these dollars are distributed based on performance and wage and salary comparability of like positions. And then our current district contribution for medical insurance is $6,084 for all eligible 1.0 employees, and a proration of that cost for part-time employees. We do know that there will be a 3.75 increase to our premium cost next year. We recommend maintaining the district contribution of $6,084 per employee, which will fully cover the cost of one of the offered medical plans. So on page 5, you can see the.
Just for clarification, can you go back to the pool, please? The 2% of wage
Yes.
pool for classified exempt and the 2% for administrators. Is that two separate pools or
It is.
one?
It's two pools, one for classified exempt and one for the administrators.
Okay, okay.
And they're divided based on that performance. So if someone was not performing well, they might not get the 2%. It might just be a lesser percentage.
And who oversees each of the distribution of those two separate pools?
I oversee the distribution of the administrators, and Mindy would oversee the distribution of the classified exempt.
Thank you.
And it would be based on their supervisor's recommendation.
So, thank you.
Sure. On page 5, you can see the projected new costs that we are associating with these recommendations. So the certified teacher's salary, stipends, addendums, and it says benefits, which means fixed costs.
Sure.
It doesn't mean our medical benefits. Fixed costs are also often called benefits. So that's $740,457. Classified hourly personnel wages and benefits is $119,505. Our classified exempt salaries and benefits, which is a very small group of employees, is $18,281. Our administrator salary and benefits is $67,119. And then that 0.5 FTE counselor at Canyon View is $38,849. So a total for compensation this year would be $984,212.63.
Oh, that would be the additional cost.
The additional cost, yes. Thank you. It's the additional cost to our M&O, which we're already, most of our budget does cover wages and salaries. And then assumption 5, we're going to experience numerous other miscellaneous additions and subtractions to our budget. So if we have contracts with our out-service custodial or our transportation, there's going to be ups and downs that you're going to see each time you see the budget, and they will be identified in blue as an addition and red as a deletion that we will be making in the budget. So the next sheets that are attached are our budget at a glance, and if there's no questions about what I've just gone through, we'll go through those pages as well. That first page is our revenue page, and I want to draw your attention over to the right side of the sheet where it says 2026. You can see where it has 4,574. That is the ADM that we're using to build this budget, okay? You can see the two columns, the fiscal year 25 and the fiscal year 26 budget, and then the change. So the 7 areas underneath revenue control limit is the base revenue control limit. That's where most of our money comes from. You can see that we're only set to we're actually not getting as much as we did the year before. And that's because of our enrollment, our projected, our ADM. So you can see that the additional funding, which is Proposition 123, is also going away. So even though Proposition 123, they'll backfill that funding, they're not going to backfill the additional funding. So that's a loss to us of about $350,000. So those are some big hits to our revenue. Our transportation revenue control limit, we never assume an increase there. As we were discussing, you have to have 150% ridership increase to see an increase in funding.
Right.
We never have 150% increase. So our K-3 override, we see a little bit of an increase there, 119,000. A little bit of decrease in our K-3 reading intervention. That's due to, reduction in K-3 students. Our carry forward, so we are budgeting a $2 million carry forward. We did that transfer back to M&O from our DAA earlier this year. We made a transfer from M&O back to DAA, and now we're going to transfer some more of our DAA back into our M&O so that we're spreading it over 2 years instead of just 1 year. And that's that $2 million. And so you can see that $1,526,970 is the total that we're projecting to transfer from DAA to M&O for this budget for 26. You can see the change, our only change is $40,446. Not a lot of change in our revenue, which is obviously the problem. And then down below, again, this is our classroom site fund, and even though it's not our M&O budget, our classroom site fund does help us. We put some of those dollars into teacher salaries. So it's important to to look at those revenues. And because we got that $50 increase per student, you can see our revenue increased $180,959. So that's a nice increase for us. Our carry forward went down a little bit just because we're carrying forward a little bit less next year than we were this year. And then our interest increased quite a bit, you can see that. And then our instructional improvement fund, again, it's not part of our M&O, but we use our instructional improvement fund to fund some of our teachers' salaries. So we have some groups of employees their salaries are taken out of this instructional improvement fund. So we have a carry forward, a little bit less carry forward, but our interest has increased for that. So you can see we have that $349,000 is all of our revenue. Yes. So, any questions on that page? That's a very important page to keep an eye on. Actually, this is not going to change a lot. This revenue page is not going to change a lot. The pages following are probably going to be where you're going to see the most changes. So if you want to go to the next page on line 1, you can see, so we have 3 columns on this one. We have our baseline is what we assumed last year. Then we have our draft budget, is basically what we've been working on this year. And then our fiscal year 26 budget, which is that baseline budget that we're going to be working from. And you can see our total projected income is only that $40,446 dollars from the revenue page. It's line, it's that net revenue, 40,000.
What line is that?
On the revenue page, it's at the very net M&O projected revenue. It's under number 7 on that
right.
revenue page. So those two match. So you can see line 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 are all going to be our salaries and wages. It's going to be our certified, our classified, our administrators. And our certified, we break it out by regular education and special education. Those blue numbers in the addition for fiscal year 25, that was our administrative proposal from last year that we're moving those numbers up. So if you remember, those are what we approved last year for additions to their compensation. So we have to add that in as we move forward because we have to sustain that. So all of those are additions, but you can see there are some deletions. So on line 4A for regular education, when we do our salary and wage reconciliation, sometimes we have a positive number that we're going to regain. And those red numbers, even though they're red, those are actually positive numbers that we are going to put back into. We have less money that we needed to put into that administrative proposal. So you can see for our certified as well as our administrators, we had a very large one for our administrators because we had 4 administrators retire last year. So we've recouped those dollars. We have also had a change in the Arizona State retirement because it was at a lesser rate, and as well as workman's comp. So you can see those red deletions because those were actually positive for us. On line 9 is our insurance fund. So that is our fund that we pay medical benefits from. We were able to make a deletion to that fund this year. I think that's going to go right back up next year with that 3.75 increase. So that's one to watch. That's probably going to go up at our next budget revision because we were able to reduce it this year, but it's going to, with our increase, it's going to go back up. Line 10 is basically the utilities and communications. These are all going to be areas where a contract is going to come in at a higher rate or a lower rate. You can see that our water and sewer is going to go up a little bit. But you can see some of the others, we haven't gotten our contracts in yet, so we don't know. The E-rate on line F and G, that is our contribution after we receive the federal funds. So we receive federal reimbursement for this, and this is the difference between that. So this is what we do pay. So it is, we have to watch that, but we do have E-rate, and E-rate is year 1, and E-rate 1 goes every year, and E-rate 2 goes every 2 years, so it's always kind of on a cycle. So we watch that very carefully. Then we go into our other expenditures on line 11. These are our insurance. We haven't gotten our insurance rates for next year for our prepaid legal or our district life insurance, our insurance deductibles. That insurance deductibles is a line that when we make a claim to the trust, say we have a leak at one of our schools, if it costs less than $15,000, we pay for that until we meet that deductible. It's just like a medical deductible. Election services, of course, we can reduce because we won't be having an election this year. We have our legal expenses. We always have a line on line 14, discipline hearings and investigations, just in case. We rarely use that, and when we don't, it goes right back into the carry forward. Our audit services are increasing just a small bit next year. We already have those prices for us. And then our food service is increasing. This is our contribution. We have to show that we have a matching program with the federal program. So it's a very complicated way to calculate how we're going to increase this amount. It's basically how many meals are reimbursed this year multiplied by how many meals are reimbursed next year divided by, it's a very complicated formula, but we have to show that we have a matching program with our federal program. So that is, it's a significant increase this year because we had a very small one last year. Our catering costs, and then of course on line 21 is our contingency fund. So our contingency fund is what we pay for when anything is not in our budget and it comes up as an expense, we pull that out of contingency if it's not a capital expense. An example of that this year was the psychology services. So we didn't put that in our budget, and we needed to pay for outsourced psychology services because we couldn't hire enough psychologists to meet the needs for our students. So we took that out of contingency. Well, this year you're gonna see that we put it in the budget, but now we've hired all of our psychologists.
Oh.
So we're gonna be able to take it out of the budget, so.
That's good news.
Yes, yeah, so, but the contingency is just that fallback that we need for unexpected expenses. So we usually keep that about 400,000.
Line 19, it's a small dollar amount, but I'm curious as to what it is, please.
Nicely Done Consulting, that is who helps us calculate our E-rate with the federal government. So they provide
Connectivity
consulting
E-rate?
I didn't hear your
They
question.
provide,
Line 19.
No, I
Nice.
know, but then you said
The connectivity E-rates
connectivity,
is what-
that's what he said.
yeah, they provide the consulting services so we can maximize our E-rate. Then we
That's not a
have,
bad return on investment, though. We pay them 10K and we get 150 back. Okay.
so then we have our site departments. So we have the governing board, that's you, for all of your conferences and travel and,
That also includes.
Policy services?
ISB's policy services,
Yes, it
right?
does.
So that's not just, I mean,
no, it's policy services as well as our,
You don't go to that many
I
conferences.
I was gonna say, we don't have to travel.
no, as well as our annual as well our dues to ASBA to be a
Right.
member of them.
Right.
So it does include
Yeah.
those. But we have a budget for the superintendent's office, associate superintendent's office, curriculum department, and she's got one for the review and staff development to support strategic plan implementation, and then the curriculum maintenance, which is, all the textbooks, all of these resources for teachers, resources for students, replenishing those things.
and those are not things, I assume, that could be funded from our override.
It's above and beyond what
Okay.
can be funded.
Okay.
Yes. Also in the curriculum maintenance, we have NAU Band Day there, and we have the band and orchestra rentals.
Because those are required.
Yes. Line 27 is the K-3 reading program. So we also have the alumni and community relations budget line, and that entails lots of different advertising mediums. She does much more than just enrollment. She does all of our communication. She makes all of our videos. She does quite a bit with a very small budget.
It is a really small budget.
Yes, and it hasn't changed in the 10 years
No.
that she's been.
It really hasn't.
Does advertising come out of that budget, or is that a separate line
Yes, it
item?
does. Advertising
what did
goes
you
out
ask?
of that.
Advertising.
Yes.
Like the kindergarten, show and tell and that type of thing.
No, actually, the kindergarten show and tell comes out of the associate superintendent's budget.
Okay. Random.
Yes. You can see that we have on line 29, we have the CFHS athletic supplemental funding. Our business office for their needs, that's their budget line. And then we have 31, and it goes A through I. Those are all of our software and hardware maintenance and support that we need to do, and those go up and down quite a bit. So we'll be getting all of those quotes in here soon, and you'll see quite a bit of movement in there.
And again, I assume above and beyond the technology override?
Yes.
Can you tell me what, on line 29, what are we supplementing with
29.
the athletics?
Well, it's, most of our athletics is funded through tax credit. So it's any equipment, uniforms, salaries, what we supplement.
Referees.
Referees.
Game workers.
This isn't nearly what it costs to run our
Yeah,
athletic
that
program.
contribution used to be more like 400,000 or something,
Yeah.
is a number that's sort of stuck in my head from 100 years ago. It's come down considerably,
Yes,
Because of
starting in
tax credits?
2008.
Yeah.
Yeah.
because of tax credits.
Okay,
We try to utilize tax credits as much as
so
possible.
when a family does the $400, $800, And I assume that there's a,
Plus, there's also a fee for participation. So that goes into their budget as well. So,
This is all over and above those tax
Yes.
credits and the fees that are paid
Yes.
by families.
yes, but we really have them use their fees first, and then we start dipping into this. So, and this also has a cycle for renewing uniforms for teams and things like that.
But basically, this is the line that makes it a break even total once.
Yes, yes. On line 32, that's the district technology budget for the team of our district technology, and then we have our human resources budget. On line 37, you can see for our maintenance and general operations. So we have outsourced groundskeeping, we have the maintenance of our district vehicles, and then we have wood chips for elementary.
County of the wood chips. Do
Which-
we have any on-staff maintenance staff anymore? Is it all outsourced?
Well, all of our maintenance it's our custodial services that are outsourced.
Okay, gotcha.
We have our own maintenance. In fact,
Okay.
we've
I
added
was
two
conflating the two.
bus mechanics in the last few years.
But groundskeeping is outsourced.
Groundskeeping is outsourced, yes. Then, of course, we have to have all these pest control, trash recycling, all of those services that we need to have, translation services that we provide for families with conferences if they need translation services, we do that, as well as for the CFHS website documents that we have to translate as well, RFID cards and our credit card processing. And then on the next page, you can get down into our school budgets. So schools are given a per student allotment, and we base that on that 100th day enrollment. So these numbers change too, if they go above or if they go below. So they get, for our elementary schools, they get $75.60 per student. However, we reduce that number by the custodial supplies because we outsource our custodians. So the supplies, part of the supply budget is for custodial supplies, so we
I see.
reduce it for those custodial supplies that we're
We
paying for.
give it to them and then we take it away.
Well, yeah, we don't really actually just give it to them, we just give them the reduced amount, but yes.
And is this based on current year's enrollment or prior year?
It's based on the 100th day enrollment
100th
this
day,
year.
okay, so it's also, again, current year, 100th day.
Yes.
I do have a question going back to line 46.
Mhm.
Credit card processing, InTouch online tax credit.
Yes.
Having done the tax credit myself, is there any way we could ask those who donate to pay the fee?
We've
Cover that.
talked about
Yes.
that, and we
So common nowadays. Would
It
you
is
like to
common.
add $1.50 to cover
Yes.
the fee?
I can talk to Ms. Dado about
And they
that.
don't have to. I
It
mean,
can
it's
be a
optional.
voluntary.
Optional. I think we
I
should
mean, we'd have to
try
be
it.
we have to make sure that people would understand that that would not be part of their tax credit contribution.
Right.
Right,
Especially people who are maxing out that tax credit contribution.
Right.
right.
Yeah.
But I would be interested to see how much we could offset.
$37,500 is a lot.
Yeah,
It is.
Almost pays for that halftime
Yes,
yes,
that's right.
counselor.
true. And then we have on line 55, we have that, I'm sorry, on line 54, you can see for the Catalina Foothills High School, we also add security
Oh, yeah.
and the special event permit for graduation. So we add a few extra things that we pay for the high school.
So can I ask a general question about this? Okay, so these are amounts that are given to each school
Mhm.
and managed by whom and,
Principal. Principal's managed. And they also get, this is just for supplies, they also
I
get
see.
a capital budget as well for furniture and equipment.
okay.
So this is just for supplies.
And this is, I assume those expenditures are reviewed by our business office as
Yes.
well?
Yes, they are.
So this is limited to supplies?
Anything that you can purchase with your M&O, I mean, they do pay for some overtime for people if they need their office staff.
Because I thought they had some discretion to do
Yeah, they do. They
some
have
things at
discretion.
their site using their budget as long as the money was there.
Yes. Whatever is allowable with M&O, most of it goes to supplies.
Mhm.
But, they do pay for personnel as well, for overtime or if we need to bring in extra people. Then we get down to special ed program, and these are just a couple of things under the special ed program that we have. Again, supplies and materials. We have the cooperative that we belong to for our visually and hearing impaired students. We also have our transition from school to work program that we fund. That's our contribution, so we pay for 40% of that, and the state pays for 60% of that. So, and then our outsourced psychology services is right here. We added it in this year, and we're gonna probably take it right back out, so we don't think we need that. Here's our transportation on line 57. The fuel is 236,000, and then that 1.5 million is for the actual transportation, which is what we pay to first students so that they pay their employees. We do feel like we can reduce our maintenance of district school buses by about 50,000 because
Yeah.
they're gonna be new. They're all gonna be new. And of course, shuttle services for graduation and the fly-in.
How does the proposed extension of bus services to farther districts or farther areas, how does that affect this section of the budget? Where is that account?
It will increase.
Is that already built in?
No, it's not, because we haven't determined that that's what we're going to do. When we do, it'll get added into that line.
Okay, and particularly the line A for fuel and
And B.
B for the
No.
And then line C, the maintenance with the new buses, are those under warranty?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
That would be my next one.
5 years.
Especially if there is extension of bus routes, that's more wear and tear on the vehicles.
Sure.
So this total transportation budget's about 2.2 million, 68 against 1.1 million in revenue.
Correct,
So our M&O is supplementing
correct.
the transportation that we are required to do
Yeah.
to the tune of,
And we're
Up to
fairly lucky,
$100,000.
right? We're
Right.
fairly lucky because our district is not
Huge.
It's small. We have
Yes.
small routes. So our fuel costs are not as great as.
it's about 2,068,000 is the total of these
that we
numbers.
Supplement.
We supplement
get-
about 900,000 because we get 1.1 million, maybe 950, something like that. It's a big number.
Yes.
It's a big number that's coming out of teacher salary dollars and.
Yep.
Yes, so line 56, then you can see the total budget expenditures. And our balance available is that 945,360, which is the exact amount of our proposal for salaries and wages. So we've balanced our budget based on,
What line is
Yeah.
that?
CAA.
Yeah, what line is that, Denise?
Well, on line 59,
Oh,
the
59.
balance available
Oh, I see. I
is
see.
$945,000. If you look down, our total administrative proposal is $945,360. And
Magic.
that's the, yes, imagine that. Then you can see on the next page is the whole budget at a glance. And it's just kind of the revenues,
Yeah.
our expenditures,
This is new.
and our administrative proposal. No, it's not new.
I don't remember seeing this
Yeah,
summary page.
yeah, it's just a nice summary so you can see.
Nice, yeah.
And you can see the difference in what especially the administrative proposal. You can
Right.
see the large difference in the administrative proposal from last year to this year.
Right.
That we're making.
Yeah.
Then the next page is our classroom site fund, and that's the budget for our classroom site. So you can see that we get new revenues. So you can see at the very top on line 1, our 2025 revenues were paid at 792, so we got $4 million. And in
Almost done.
2026, it's going to be 842, so it's going to be 5 million. So, yeah, again, I think it was, what did we say? It was increasing 180,000,
180,000.
181,000 basically. So,
We'll take it.
no, absolutely.
They will take that.
On line 3 then, down below, it's the total projected classroom site fund revenues. Is that 5,083? The actual projected carry forward So we have about 1 million in carry forward. And then we have some interest, so we have about 7,340,000. Now, most of that goes, we use it in the base salary. Most of that goes right into the base salary. So the next line is that base fund. So we're projecting 2,450,000 to go into the certified salaries, and then the benefits is another 500,000. So it's 2.9 million, so 3 million of that 7 million. And then we go down to the performance pay. So we're projecting to pay out about 1.4 million in performance pay this year. And you can see there's a reduction. So that reduction is what we did not pay out last year. So it'll be added into next year. So it'll be more than this 1.4. It's going to be added in. Whatever we didn't spend last year gets added into this year to spend. So, and then these are the positions down below on line 12. Oh, I'm sorry. These are the history of our compensation increases and how we've used our classroom site funds. So we've really kept a tally of those so that we can keep a historical view of what we've done with our classroom site funds. You can see last year the payroll benefits for certified salary comparability adjustment for 23. You know, those are where we've added that from our classroom site fund. Then you can see we have a contingency of 1.2. That would have been 1.7, but we proposed to add $500,000 from this fund into our M&O to cover some of the downfall, the shortfall of our budget. So this,
Which then gets to the 400,000 contingency, right? Or is it?
no, it gets
Different?
to our compensation.
I
So
see.
that line where it says on, it's line 2B,
Right.
that reduction of 500,000, that 500,000 is what we've taken from classroom site fund
Okay.
to fund the salaries.
Line 2B, I
Yes,
don't see a line 2, oh, on the
very
top page.
On page
yes.
2.
Not on the top page, on the first
Page
page of
two.
the proposed budget.
Right, the first page of the book. So
Yeah, that
line-
500,000 right there,
I still don't see a 2B, I'm looking at the
This one
wrong
right
page
here.
then.
Second page.
Okay,
yes.
Sorry.
That 500,000 is
There we go.
the amount that we're taking
Got
from
it.
our classroom site fund. But because we had the increase, it would have gone down to $750,000 in contingency, but we've got that additional money, so it's back up to 1.2 million for us to use. So our total revenues is 7 million, and our total expenditures plus contingency is 7 million. Again. And then lastly is our instructional improvement fund. And again, this is an M&O, but we do get revenues, and we do use these, and there's a specific, you can only use them for dropout prevention or instructional improvement programs. So we get about $300,000 a year. This next year, we're projecting that we're going to get $50,000 more, so we'll get $350,000 at a minimum. We have carry forward of $418,000, and then our earnings, so we have $783,000 currently in that. You can see all of the positions that we're funding out of this. So when we can, we put positions into this. Now, you can see that we don't have a large contingency in here. We only have 90,000. So eventually, some of these positions are going to have to be moved back into M&O. But we try to put them in here as often as we can so that it doesn't hit M&O. And then when we have to, we move them back. But once you move them into M&O, they can never go back.
One-way street.
It's a one-way street.
Yeah.
So we try to start them here. You can see all of the positions that we have funded through here. As we move forward, we will probably take out the gifted teachers first when we have to, and we will do it on those type of things, probably the counselors after that. We'll have to just make those decisions, but it will be incremental. It won't be one fell swoop.
Is this where our Canyon View, additional 0.5?
No, because we do not have, well,
not
I
there.
guess we have enough in our contingency. We could.
90.
It's pretty low.
It's pretty low. That's a very low contingency. So we'd just be moving them back out. We'd be moving it back out next year, so I don't know if it's really worth it to do that, but we could for this next year.
I mean, is that a position that would be dependent on enrollment to the point that it makes sense to put it on ice for a year and see? Or-
I don't think it's based on enrollment. You know, we've tried to, with the counselors, we've tried to make it as close to 250 to 1 that we can. And they're at 400, they're at 400, so.
That's huge.
Yeah,
That's huge.
it's 400 to 1 at that school. Now, our schools aren't at 250 to 1, but we're trying to get to that as close as we can. So some schools are, Esperaro is, they have 2 counselors, and they're about 500, so some schools are at that. But 400 to 1 is just a lot.
That's a lot.
So,
That's a lot.
No, I just, as soon as you said that, the whole one-way street thing, I was like, ooh, wow.
And the state average is 600 plus.
pardon me?
And the state average for counselors is
that right?
600
Yes,
plus
it is.
to 1.
So we've really tried to reduce that. So that contingency of 90,000 is pretty low. We're going to be looking at that next year. So our total projected revenues and our expenditures are that 783,000. So I know that was kind of quick, but you're going to see
Actually,
this.
No, but very
This was a
detailed.
very nice presentation of this because, we don't normally go through it line item like this.
Okay.
And this has been really helpful, even for people who've been looking at this every year. So
Great,
I
I'm glad
really
to hear that.
appreciated it.
I'm glad to hear that.
I didn't find that quick at all. I thought it was great.
Okay. But we'll see this every week, basically. And I'll try to highlight some of the changes, if there are changes. We've been looking at this budget now for, I don't know, 2 months now in our meetings on Monday. So I will try to highlight those changes for you.
Any other questions about the straw budget?
I get it, probably just more of a comment, but I think the one thing that jumped out at me is we've got a $40 million budget, we've got declining enrollment, and we're spending less than $20,000 on advertising. And I know every penny is accounted for and every penny is tight, but it feels like as we were going through that, I was thinking, all right, what's a potential enrollment driver? And a lot of these line items are not, but that's one that
It is.
it feels like the ROI on.
Well, the issue, I mean, not the issue, the benefit of this is that we're not using typical advertising. We're not using print advertising as much. It's a lot of social media, it's Spotify, it's less. It costs less to advertise in those mediums. But I can talk with Julie to see if that's adequate or if we need to.
I mean, I think it's one of those, where we all work with what we have.
Yeah.
And, I think it would be a great what if to go, if we doubled that, what would we approach differently than right now?
What is she not doing that she would like to be doing because
Right.
she's got a budget constraint?
And that's not an incremental thing, but is oh wow, that's a whole other initiative.
Postcard
I mean,
Right?
I got a postcard mailer
Did you?
mail for the charter school today. So, yes. So,
I can discuss that with her, bring back a proposal.
Go back to the agenda one sec. I can't type and talk at the same time. So obviously, this is a discussion and report item. It's going to come back to us many times, as you said. But there is one aspect of it that kind of rolls over into our new business.
Yes.
So, item 6.1 is our approval of professional salary schedule for 2025, 2026. It is an action item for this evening, which is somewhat unusual not to do 2 reads on something, but this is a matter that has been discussed and vetted and is presented as part of your straw budget. So it is an action item so that we can get moving on hiring our staff. So This is
That comes
presented.
later tonight.
We have, right, exactly. This is, the next three items are all related to our hiring, related to the budget, getting contracts out there. So I will turn, actually, it's the next three, but we'll start with 6.1, Westover.
All right, here we go. So you're going to hear a few repeats that you just heard in the straw budget, but we are, today, attached is our proposal for the 2005-2006 professional salary schedule with increments between steps on the salary schedule of $910. Last year, the governing board gave a very generous increase to our salary schedule, and we feel like leaving that starting salary at $53,000 is at this time the best that we could do. And we are recommending a vertical step movement for all certified employees on the proposed salary schedule and a $1,000 longevity stipend to each employee who returns for the 2005 and 2006 school year. This will result in an increased cost to the maintenance and operations budget of $740,457. This vertical step movement and longevity addendum will result in a $1,910 increase in compensation per certified employee. This is between a 2.11 and a 3.48% increase when the step movement and the addendum are considered together for an average compensation increase of 2.70. Any questions? And then the attached salary schedule is, again, starting at $53,000, so you can see that.
So in talking about that $53,000 starting salary at step one, in terms of its competitiveness with the people we're competing with for teachers, can you talk about that a little bit?
We still feel like, obviously, all boards in the area haven't finalized their salary schedules, but from what we're hearing, we are still towards the top, if not the top, in the local area with the
Yeah,
$53,000.
we were the top last year,
Right.
right on top of Flowing Wells. Flowing Wells and us kind of
Go back and forth. a
go
little
back
bit.
and forth. And we understand that Flowing Wells is looking at a 2% increase
Yeah.
as well.
To their starting salary?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so they may top us a little bit.
They may. But they don't contribute as much to their insurance fund. So in total compensation, I think we still may be ahead of them.
Can you clarify if the longevity addendum that's on our desks, is that part of this?
Yes, yes,
um,
yes.
Topic, or is
No,
it
it's
one of
part of the
next-
contracts.
Thank you.
Yeah, when we get to the
Okay.
contracts.
Thank you. Because I have a question on that, and I wasn't sure if it was
Yeah.
an hour late.
I had this.
Okay.
So obviously, we've heard over and over that salary is important to, as a reflection of value of our professionals and of our staff. And I think, given the budget projections that we're looking at and the very significant increase last year, that being able to maintain that, and I'm very pleased that you're asking us to approve that what is still an increase. And of course, you know, we would love to pay more. Start, whatever we start with, it's not enough for our teachers, but I think that balancing our fiscal responsibilities and trying to continue to reflect salary as a means of showing value and not appreciation, that's not the right word, but, you know,
Recognize the work that they're doing.
recognizing exactly that, you know, what our, not just our teacher, but our administrators, our staff, our certified and classified staff, it's, and maintaining a medical insurance contribution, which I understand is somewhat unique among school districts, and 6,000 plus is not a small amount of money. That's a perk in addition to this base salary and that $1,910. So I appreciate you trying to, I know that you came up with a budget proposal that maximized what you felt could support, could, our budget needs. And so I just want to thank you for, doing the most that we could possibly do.
And to be able to sustain that into future years.
Yes, exactly.
What we really considered.
It's more than just medical, it's medical, dental,
Yes.
and vision, too.
You guys are jumping the gun. That's the next agenda item.
But when we're talking about total.
I get you.
Yeah, for total compensation.
Yes.
Pie chart.
Right. But you can't look at this number without also talking about
The rest of it.
the rest of the benefits that aren't reflected just in the salary schedule. So,
And the 2.7% increase is, I think we're going to find comparable across the state.
I know a lot of work went into modeling and provisions and projections and all of
Yes.
that, and thank you for your patience and work in doing that.
Of course. We want to maximize what we can, absolutely.
there's no further discussion. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Okay,
Move that the governing board approve the proposed professional salary schedule as presented and a vertical step movement for all certified employees on the proposed professional salary schedule as presented.
is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. There's been a motion and a second to approve item 6.1 on our agenda. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. So now on to that cafeteria plan of employee benefits, item 6.2.
Yes, so now we get to take a little deeper look into those benefits we were referring to. This report is going to review options for qualifying employees available for the 25-26 school year. Our plan benefits begin July 1 of 2025 and they end on June 30th of 2026. We are recommending that we stay with Asbate Meritan Health for our medical. Asbate Meritan Health offered us a 3.7% increase with no provider disruption and $15,000 towards a wellness plan. Our plan through Asbate has not changed for over 10 years. Although the percent increase was lower this year, we were informed that each of the plans have gone through some significant redesign. Regardless of these changes, we recommend continuing with Asbate Meritan for the 25-26 school year. Active employees will continue to be offered one of 4 benefit plans. It is recommended that the district continue the contributions per employee at the current amount of $6,084 annually. Maintaining this amount allows the contribution to fully cover one of the offered medical plans. All 3 other plans will require employee contribution. There is also a plan for retirees, which is fully funded by the retiree. To offer employees and their families a more affordable medical plan option, we recommend continuing to offer the high deductible health plan paired with a health savings account. The deductible for the high deductible plan has increased from $1,600 to $2,600 for next year's plan. Therefore, all medical and prescription drugs are paid until the upfront $2,600 deductible for Banner and Aetna are met. The out-of-pocket maximum on this plan is increased to $7,500 for Banner and Aetna. The cost to cover dependents is less. However, employees will pay more for the cost of services up front than they have in the past with other medical plans. These were contributed to those redesigns. You're going to hear that in all 4 medical plans. The high deductible healthcare plan, the $2,600 with the health savings account, will cost $0 for employees only. And the district will contribute the remainder of the district contributions dollars of $978 to the employee's health savings account. We recommend the district contribute the $48.90 to the HSA per pay period for 20 pay periods. for enrolled employees. It's important for employees to keep in mind, though, that the first HSA contribution will not be paid until September. Therefore, if an employee has an out-of-pocket expense in July and August, they have to use another form of payment to reimburse themselves from their HSA after they receive the district contributions.
And we have to contribute per pay period, because once we contribute, the employee owns that money.
Right.
So if they leave, that money goes with them, and if we pay that up front, then that would be a gift of public funds if they left before we.
And this is really only an issue for people who are just starting in this, because other people
Correct.
hopefully will
Would
have
have.
had the opportunity to
Yes.
build up a
Correct.
balance in their HSA account and that they can use to bridge that summertime gap, so to
Yeah.
speak.
And the employees contribute, I only know this because I have one. The employee's contribution to the HSA account is pre-tax.
Yes.
Yes, it is.
That's a nice
Right.
feature of pre-tax dollars, and reimbursing is very simple.
Yeah,
Who administers the HSA?
Health
Oh my
equity.
gosh.
And so it's investable?
Mhm. Yes, it
Yes.
is.
So they can choose to invest the funds in.
Correct. Correct.
All right, so for the 2025 HSA maximum contribution limits are $4,300 if the enrolled as employee only, and $8,550 if covering any dependents, plus an additional $1,000 catch-up contribution for those 55 and older. Unused funds roll, like we just discussed, from year to year, and the district will allow employees to change HSA pre-tax contributions at any time during the year.
And that's,
Change meaning increase or decrease.
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
at any time, per pay period, they could. I
That's
mean,
quite nice.
It used to be that we only did it at
once a year.
once a year,
Or
but.
if there was some kind of qualifying event or what have you.
Yes,
Yeah, that's
but now they
great.
can do it at any time.
Okay, so that's the high deductible health plan and the HSA. The Value Gold is the plan that will be partially funded through the district contributions to the cafeteria plan of benefits. It is recommended as an option for employees wishing to participate in a lower cost plan in exchange for an increased obligation in the event of a critical illness. This plan will have a $900 banner or a $1,050 Aetna deductible for employees. It has a yearly cost of $6,312. This plan will be partially funded by the district contribution of $6,084. The employee will fund the difference of $228.
Over the
That is,
year.
yes, that's $228 over the year. And we recommend the district to offer this plan for employees, so it'll be at a small cost to our employees of $228.
This is a plan that employees have previously elected.
It is.
It's a popular plan.
Yes, it
Okay.
is.
Is this also a deductible increase?
It is, yes.
Yes. All plans
All
have a
of them have.
deductible.
Do we know what it was last year?
It is on,
750, 750.
750 across the board, Banner and Aetna?
yes, and the attached,
No, I
Document.
think 750 was the Aetna, and it
Okay.
was like 640.
Okay, so they've
The
gone up
Banner.
about $300. Okay.
Yeah.
yeah. And all of the changes are attached as the other document.
Yeah.
Isn't it?
And that little teeny tiny.
That little
Yeah.
tiny one, yeah. And the blue will show you the
Yeah.
new, and that will show you
Okay.
where the changes
Thank
are.
Right.
And I had them labeled side by side, so you can see previous year to current year.
Thank you.
The Classic Gold is a plan that the employee will need to supplement the district contribution to fully cover the cost. The yearly rate is $7,020. We recommend that the district continue to contribute the $6,084 for eligible employees. The employee will fund the difference of $936 if choosing this plan. This plan will have a $540 banner and a $600 Aetna deductible for the employee.
And previously, this was $300 deductible.
Yeah. And then lastly, we have the copay gold is another option for employees who are currently enrolled in this plan. It has a $0 deductible. We recommend that the district offer this plan to provide employees an opportunity to purchase a plan with a $0 deductible. The annual cost of this plan is $7,620. We recommend the district contribute the same $6,084, which will leave a difference of $1,536 for the employee. This plan is only available to employees hired prior to the 22-23 school year if they initially selected this plan and continued with it to date. So you kind of a grandfathered in type
I
of
see.
plan here. And then ASBATE did inform us that it is determined that this is the last year that this plan will be offered. So this will be the last year we will see this copay gold plan.
Do you know if we have many employees who are
I think we have
enrolled
like
in this currently?
90.
Yeah.
90, wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then you're going to see in the charts below each of the plans and their current cost overall, and then the change. You're going to see that most of the plans had a 3.7% increase, which was across the board on all 4 plans. The retiree plan is the value gold, and it is, there will be a 5% rate increase in that. It has a $600 individual and a $1,200 family calendar year deductible for banner services, or $750 individual, $1,500 family calendar for Aetna providers. There's a $28 to $35 copay for office visit, banner, Aetna, and 25% coinsurance after the deductible for other in-network services. And historically, the retiree rates have increased 5% or more. So this is staying on par with that.
This is, you know, our retiree rates used to be much higher than this. And so now our retiree plan is a very viable option for people who are retiring from the district. It's much more reasonable than it has been in the past. I don't know, you probably don't remember, but I do, that we were down to only one person on our retiree insurance because it was so expensive. Now we've got more people on our retiree insurance.
Yeah.
Denise, when they turn of Medicare age, can they stay in this retirement plan? They have to move out into Medicare.
Okay, that's the major medical plans. We do have a few perks. Employee Assistant Program that I wanted to highlight. And the Employee Assistance Program is no cost to the district when enrolling in ASBATE medical plans. This is a savings of $7,361 annually to the district. The rates are guaranteed until June 30th of 2026, until next year. The other plan I'd like to highlight is the telemedicine, and the teledoc program is at no additional cost to the district when enrolling in ASBATE medical, and is expanding to include primary 360 and behavioral health services beginning in the 25-26 school year.
So that's on any of these plans?
Yes.
Is that what you're saying? So an employee who enrolls in these plans has access to telemedicine for primary care, mental health care. What was there a third one?
And then the Employee Assistance Program is
Or
Yeah.
any kind of distressing,
yes.
yeah.
And obviously the behavioral health as well.
But it's also for telemedicine, even if you don't have your family enrolled, you can use it for your family.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah,
These are some big changes.
nice.
How will they be communicated?
Well, the telemedicine, we've had that for the last couple of years. The new piece is the primary 360 and behavioral health will be new, and we'll be communicating that during our open enrollment period.
What is primary 360?
Well, I think telemedicine had a limited scope of what they could see a patient for. But now a primary care physician could do a telemedicine.
Wow.
Yes, so they've expanded the services that can be offered telemedically.
Nice.
Yeah, it is a nice feature, and expanding the behavioral health is a big one.
And our employee assistance program is part of a behavioral health plan too. So they get 5 free counseling sessions, but they can get financial planning with it. There's lots of services. There's legal services that they can, and it's free to them if they're enrolled in our district plan.
So that is the medical plans. And then if we're okay, I'll move into the dental. We did have some major changes there as well. Our dental plan, we recommend changing our dental provider to Emeritus, the S800B. This is a new plan due to our former prepaid dental plan, EDS, being eliminated. This plan offers a $5 copay office visits and 0 copay for exams and cleanings. The rates for this plan will be guaranteed until June 30th of 2028. And this is an actual 9.1% increase over the EDS plan, but again, that plan was eliminated. We had just found out, so that is sparring these changes. The second,
You have a question?
dental,
Those are monthly rates?
yes.
Yes.
Can we just make sure that's added to the header before it goes out?
Okay, they're all monthly rates on all of the charts?
All the other charts say
Yeah.
monthly rates in the charts, but the
This
dental
one
ones do
didn't.
not.
Okay.
So before this information's circulated to,
Oh,
presumably
yeah,
this
yeah,
goes
yeah,
out to
yeah.
employees at some point?
Yes.
Or it's circulated, please just add monthly to those two charts, please, under dental.
Okay. Then the other dental plan is the Emeritus Passive PPO. And this is going to replace our Delta Dental for our second option for dental coverage. This plan offers a $50 deductible and 100% coverage on preventative services 2 times a year and increased orthodontia maximum age to 26. Additionally, 96% of our current general dentists utilized by our employees are covered under Emeritus. Rates are guaranteed for 2 years until June of 2027. And this is actually a 15% decrease to our employees in those that were on the Delta Dental plan previously. And again, the coverage, like 90% of our, or 96% of our current dentists are actually on Emeritus, so.
Doesn't that hold true for the prior one then as well, since that's an emeritus plan too?
Yes, but it is a different plan, so not all of the dentists are
Not all dentists accept
carry
that type of
that type.
insurance.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yes,
okay. I was trying to figure out why it was called.
because it is kind of a pay-as-you-go.
Is it- Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
A little bit different type of plan. So retiree rates are the same for active employees in the dental. And then I'm gonna head into vision. Avis. Avisis. It is recommended to remain with the current vision provider, Avisis. There was no increase to this plan. This plan has a large network of providers, including Walmart and Costco, and the rates are guaranteed until June 30th of 2028, so there was no increase or change there. Basic life and accidental death and disability, volunteer life, we're using Minnesota Life, is recommended to continue basic and voluntary employee and dependent life insurance with Minnesota Life. Rates will remain the same for both basic and voluntary for the 25-26 school year. Both rates will be guaranteed until June 30th of 2026. Basic life insurance guarantee issue amount is at $550,000 per employee. This is fully funded by the district.
That's another benefit. I mean, it's not compensation, but it's part of their total package that we offer, this $50,000 per employee, basic life insurance, fully funded by the district
And
Part-time.
for part-time as well.
And voluntary life insurance guarantee issue amount stayed at the current level of $250,000 for employees, $50,000 for spouses, and $10,000 for children. Minnesota Life does not have any age reduction schedules in place for employees, and you'll see the rates, the current rates and the renewal rates did not change a little bit for an estimated annual cost. Okay. And then their voluntary life remained the same. And then voluntary short-term disability, we recommend continuing short-term disability coverage with Madison National Life. There is no rate increase and rates are guaranteed until 2026. This coverage is fully funded by the employee. We also have Pet Care MetLife. It is recommended to continue with MetLife for our pet insurance provider. There are multiple fee structures offered with different deductibles and copays. Different breeds have different costs. There is a 5% discount for a second animal and a 10% for a 3+. This plan includes both accidents and illness coverage. And you can see some of the rates there for dogs and cats.
And again, those are monthly?
Yes.
How many employees enrolled use the pet?
Well, we don't know because we used to, so this is a true pet insurance, and so we have nothing to do with it. We just provide this to them. They work with,
Like a pass-through?
yes, we're just a pass-through, so we don't know how many. When we did have some information on it, we had many employees utilize this. Yes.
Pets can become expensive.
Oh, yeah.
Cobra ASBATE. Cobra administration is at no cost to the district when enrolling in ASBATE medical plans. This is a savings of $2,352 annually to the district. Rates will be guaranteed until June of 2026. We also have the flexible spending accounts, the FSAs, through ASI Flex. It is recommended to continue our flexible spending with ASI Flex for administrative services. This rate is guaranteed for the life of the contract.
Which is
And-
amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have tax sheltered annuity. TSA Consulting Group is the administrator of tax sheltered annuities. They provide the administrative and record-keeping services for participants contributing to a 403B and a 403B Roth accounts. There is no administrative cost to the district. All costs are paid by the participant. And that is our cafeteria of benefits. It is lengthy.
The FSA accounts, who's paying the $280 per person? Is that us?
Yes.
Do we have a number of people that enroll in these?
That use
I have
the
to ask Denise.
The FSAs?
Yeah.
The FSAs, it's growing. It grows every year. I think we may have more this next year, because of insurance rates.
Mm-hmm.
I
And
think
the
that,
changes to deductibles.
yeah,
and,
I think
you
that
know,
could
Your
increase.
costs are gonna get a little more, a little easier to predict.
And what's nice is when you, with a flexible spending account, once you contribute, say you're gonna contribute $2,500 and it doesn't even come out, it comes out incrementally, that full $2,500 is available to you at first
Right.
glance. You don't have to wait for it to be
Yeah.
put into that. However, if an employee leaves,
Right.
it is owned by us. It's not owned by them any longer. They don't take that money with them. That's the difference
Which is
between.
the hard sell for this.
That's the difference between the FSA and the HSA.
No dependent care.
Or, we do have dependent care, and it's that same ASA
It's the same
Flex,
thing,
yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's
I'm used to
both,
seeing it separated.
yeah,
Right.
it's both dependent and,
And then, like I mentioned, these are all of the specifics with, that were included, and it has the old rates and the new rates, so you can see a side-by-side comparison. And a much more detailed plan, so that you can see all the nitty-gritty details there.
So some of what you talked about with the dental and some of the other benefits around rates being guaranteed for a certain period of time, et cetera, jogged my memory about the very first page, under medical, where it says our plan through ASBATE has not changed for over 10 years. Does that mean the benefits within the plans had not changed, the premium
Yes.
amounts had not changed?
The
Premiums,
deductibles and the
Because I assume the
co-pays.
premiums had.
yeah,
premiums
it's the
have.
plan
But
itself.
they've updated the
They-
deductible levels and
Yeah,
things
the
like that for the first time
co-pays.
in 10 years.
Yes,
Mhm,
they redesigned their
co-insurance.
plans.
And the actual, like, plans, the actual insurance products.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's pretty amazing that it had been where it was. It stinks to a change done every 10 years rather than like incremental. But is there a sense that the new benefit levels are going to stay where they are for a while?
Yeah, I mean, they indicated to us that it's possible that it could go down.
We do not
It could
believe that.
change, but
It's hard to believe that that would happen, yeah.
just sharing.
We had a very pointed conversation
Yes.
with them about the changes, so.
You know, obviously, we're not happy, we weren't thrilled with the changes, because they do increase costs for our employees.
I will say, though, that these are still reasonable deductible levels considering what's available out there.
These are great.
It's still a big change for our employees, and I don't take that away from anybody. That will be an adjustment, but I know what my deductible is.
Yeah.
Well,
No,
and there are districts out there that only offer high deductible plans, so that we are still able to offer 4 different plans is,
yes.
Yeah.
I think the norm in most of the districts nowadays is only offering high deductible
Right.
plans. So I think for our employees, they do have a variety to choose from. And even with the increases, the plans are very competitive.
They are.
Very much so.
And again, the question that I asked before was about communicating out all these options and the changes. That's,
We're planning a different approach to our open enrollment this year. We believe that we're probably going to have 4 different meetings, one for each plan.
One
So
for each
anyone who
what?
is,
Oh.
one for each plan.
okay.
So if you are on the high deductible plan and you're planning to stay on the high deductible plan, you know, we want to bring them in and have a meeting to show them what the differences are going to be. So we're anticipating 4 different
If
meetings.
someone's thinking about comparing plans, they're gonna have to go to multiple meetings.
Correct,
Okay.
correct.
And we will make that possible for them to
Yes,
do.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Or it would be, could be remote.
yes.
Yeah, right. We will also have it recorded. We will have a recorded
Great.
communication as well. But we really feel like it's probably, you know, beneficial for us to communicate it in person because you don't always pay the closest attention when it's just a recorded version. Similar to what we did when we implemented the high deductible plan.
Right.
We made them come, if they were gonna go on to the high deductible plan, they had to come to an informational meeting so that they knew upfront what was gonna be changing and what their contributions and what they were gonna need to do for that plan. So,
Yeah, well, we've talked about variety of ways to present it so that they have options. We want them to get the information the most convenient and best way we can, and give them opportunities to ask questions, look at comparisons, so they're able to make the best choice for themselves with these changes.
When is that election made in the employment process?
Our open enrollment is in May. I'm not sure, I'd have to ask Denise.
May. And
first
then
time
for
through.
teachers hired after,
I'm sorry, what?
then it would just
When
be.
is, open enrollment is in May, correct?
It is in May, yes.
And then new teachers they usually, when they come in,
Yeah,
They'll do their
HR
elections.
will work with them individually as they make their
Mm-hmm.
selections.
I know that every year, this is like in many ways, a moving target, because you're responding to things that you can't change, like the premiums increasing, and,
right.
and I know it's a lot of work to try to figure out what can be offered
Yes.
that maintains the things that our employees want in terms of consistency, low cost, the lowest cost for the most amount of services.
We looked through a
Many-
lot of plans.
Yes,
And we even looked internally at some of the plans, different plans offered through ASBE, and we really feel like the ones that we are recommending are the best, really most consistent for our employees. But there was lots of options out there.
And your captive
And dental,
audience to a large extent. I mean,
yeah, and we are actually going to investigate for people who want to services Mexico. They can travel down for dental and medical. We're taking a field trip to the clinic on April 25th to see if that's something we're going to offer our employees because we're so close. And we do know of some employees who already do that.
What do you mean offer to our employees?
They can pay per month and then they can go to Mexico to get reduced dental care by a certified dentist. So we're going to be investigating that later this month.
nice. School districts in like Cochise County or Santa Cruz County, do they offer those
Yes.
types of plans?
Yes,
Interesting.
we do.
Yeah.
So I know of some employees that we
Yeah.
already have that do that they go down there for their
Yeah,
dental
I know
care.
many people who do that.
So we're looking into that.
Interesting.
Mhm.
This is maybe not an easy question to answer,
Okay.
but rough guess. You've got a 3.7% premium increase this year. What do you think over the last, say, 5 or 10 years or so, the average premium increase has been?
Well, last year, it was 11%. Year before, it was 6%. The year before, it was 7%. I mean,
Yeah.
This is
I know
really
This is
a
not that bad.
pretty
This is not,
modest, but
mean, always
that's
is.
reflected in the
Right.
plan
Benefits
redesign.
are,
Which at
Right.
first we were so thrilled, how did we only get a 3.7% increase? And then
Devil's in
they
the
showed us the
details.
plans.
right,
Last year it was an 11%.
that's right.
Week 1, 3.7
So
sounded great.
we've had
Two,
high,
not so much.
high increases.
And you've considered other providers besides, I mean, rather than going through ASBIT?
We have.
There's
It's very difficult because our usage is very high. And so insuring us is risky.
Yeah.
So all the other insurance companies that provided us with information on quotes were 65% higher.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, one was really high.
Yes.
So
And even
this-
outside of rates, you want to do the least amount of disruption to doctor relationships as possible. That's a really huge consideration for a lot of people.
Well, and if you remember, a few years ago, we left ASBATE and went to Blue Cross Blue Shield because they gave us a very good rate. But then that next year,
Wham.
they gave us a 6% increase, and, you know, we stayed with them for a couple more years, and then we just couldn't anymore. It was just too cost prohibitive. So ASBATE seems to be our best option at this point.
Because we're pooled with some,
We're pooled with many
Other
other
schools.
districts.
okay.
do you think our risk profile will go down as that, I guess, cost plan gets phased out? And maybe more people
Maybe.
move into the high deductible?
Potentially. Yes.
We've been looking better this year.
Our
so
loss
far.
ratios, you know, a typical insurance company wants your loss ratio to be at about 80% a month. We're at 140.
Ooh, wow.
Yes.
We're overutilizing.
We're coming down. We were
Yes.
like 120.
We are,
coming down.
we're coming down, but it's very, very high.
It is.
So,
Do most employees, you might not know this, is it just the employee or employee and spouse or employee, spouse,
I
family?
think we have a combination.
Okay.
for,
Pretty
for
For
what?
the medical.
coverage.
For coverage.
Oh, we have a combination.
I'm just curious to know how many might have a spouse where the spouse has a different.
Yes.
That also is a
Yes.
driver of cost as well.
Mm-hmm. We do. We do. We have some high costs.
In that case, does the entire amount just go into an HSA, or is there just no cut? If a employee elects to go with their spouse's plan,
And declines.
They decline
they
the
decline,
benefits.
period, okay,
They decline.
that would make sense.
They're not getting the $6,000 contribution.
Any other discussion about the cafeteria plan of benefits that are proposed for our approval this evening? Okay. Would someone like to make a motion?
I'll move. I move that the governing board provide full-time benefit-eligible employees $6,084 toward a cafeteria plan of benefit options available from July 1, 2025 until June 30, 2026, to employees working between 30 to 40 hours prorated based on their respective full-time equivalencies and the list of benefit providers as presented.
A motion, is there a second?
Second.
All the,
I'm really sorry, I have a problem with the wording of the motion.
oh, sure, why, okay, go ahead.
To me, it implies that we're giving the money to the employees to use at their discretion, and that's not what we're doing. The money is specifically for the payment of medical benefits, and we pay the medical provider directly, we don't pay the employee.
Right, it's toward a cafeteria plan.
But it says we provide it to the, I mean, if it's just me, that's fine, but as
No, I can
Jacqueline
see
was
why you're
reading
reading
it,
it that
it
way.
caused me concern.
I can see why you're reading
Provide
it
the
that way.
benefit, full-time benefit eligible employees.
Maybe it needs
I
to
see.
be amended to just say towards a health insurance.
We're providing it, we're not providing it, I don't know how to reword this,
Towards
but
a medical plan only.
Eileen, do you see what I'm trying
Yeah,
to
I
say
know, I see
here?
exactly what
I
you're
s-
saying, I'm just trying to think about how we might
I
reword
know.
that a little bit. And it's probably the same motion we've used year after year, but we've never,
Yes.
hadn't looked at it, but you could say something to the effect, I move the governing board provide full-time benefit eligible employees who elect health insurance
Yes.
through our cafeteria plan of benefits, a contribution of $6,084 from July
Okay.
1, 2025 to June 30th, 2026, to employees working between 30 and 40 hours prorated based on their respective full-time equivalencies and the list of benefit providers as presented. Does that do it?
There you go. Sorry, you read it beautifully, Jacqueline, but
It's
gonna be Eileen.
Thank you, Eileen. I appreciate
problem.
that.
and Gina, there's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. Thank you for that catch.
Thanks. If we could just please ensure we capture that and carry it forward.
Yeah, of course. Okay. Agenda item 6.3 is the approval of first round of certified contracts for school year 25-26. It's Westover.
Okay, this is the
Good thing you have a
exciting.
bottle of water tonight.
I know, I've almost
I
got
know.
mine done. So presenting for the governing board for review and approval is the attached list of professional staff being offered contracts for the 2025-2026 school year, along with copies of the contracts and addenda to be issued. Additionally, the longevity addendum was walked in, so you'll have that, you all have that as well. And there were some additions to the original. I think there were a couple master's addendums that were also added onto that walk-in. And that is the list for our first round.
How many staff members does this represent? Do you know?
I don't know off the top of my head.
Okay.
It's a big list.
It is.
Large list, yeah.
25 a page, maybe, roughly.
There's 25 per page.
I'm assuming,
guessing.
I'm guessing 25 a page. The majority of them are, the majority of our staff are probably represented here.
That's a little over 250 people.
Mhm.
roughly.
What about,
Although there are some addendums on there as well, so.
Right,
that's
you're right.
true. That's
That's
true.
exactly right.
People are
Some of
offered
these are
multiple
doubles.
times, yeah, and some triples.
Yeah, we'd have to actually
Yeah.
go through and count them, but
So speaking of which, question for you, on page 4 of the longevity addendum,
Longevity,
midway down the page, Blake Hinson is shown as having 2 master's addendums, which I'm wondering why there are 2, but also I'm wondering why these are the only master's addendums in this list, so maybe it was just an incorrect data pull?
No, it meant that we did not, he was missed this year, so he's going to get this year's addendum, and then next year's as well.
Why don't we list the other master's addendums then in this?
because they're in the first one.
his was
Then the
just
first one.
missed
Yeah,
this
his
year.
is, they're in this they're in this list, this
Or in the
list.
other list.
The list that's posted, all the master's addendums are listed there.
So if it didn't make this list,
Isn't the same as that?
No,
No.
this
Oh, I thought it
is
was.
the longevity addendum.
This is just the longevity.
And we
Okay,
needed to bring them
Gotcha.
all together at once because they need to sign all at once. We couldn't
you
bring the
clear, Gina?
longevity addendum.
which file is
and we
that?
did it.
this is the original first round.
First round of
Okay.
contracts.
Gotcha.
And then,
This
the-
is the,
And these,
I'm with you. Yeah,
so
yeah.
that-
everyone
No,
on
it's
this
okay.
longevity addendum is also on the first
yep,
list of contracts.
Correct. And so anyone that we missed on a master's addendum on the list online, we included here so that we could catch
so when
them.
you
Right.
see this
I had it-
particular name here
Yes.
on the original list, the master's addendum is missing, so we put it in here.
Correct.
Yes.
okay.
So here,
Correct.
actually, the
Thank
one
you.
you're talking
And
about.
if they had been in one document, it would have been
That's all.
name,
So that's what-
master's addendum,
There's
longevity
two
addendum.
addendums,
Yes, yes, correct.
Yeah.
And
one from last year and one.
Got
the
it.
longevity
Gotcha. Oh my
um,
goodness
of it
gracious.
was kind of something we were working on
Right.
this last week.
Yes.
So it just came in a little
Sure.
later. And we made a few catches that we were able to.
And I
also
needed to
put
send
that
it on
list.
to our legal counsel as well for
Yes.
their opinion on it.
Any other questions or clarifications needed?
Oh my goodness, I have to say thank you for bearing with me on that
Oh,
one.
no, no problem,
Okay.
no problem. It's kind of late, actually. I think whichever board member, and I don't remember who it was, had to make the non-renew motion, should make this one. I think it was Tom.
I think it was the two
Tom
of
and
you.
Jacqueline,
I think
yeah.
it was the two of you. I think we made you do it.
This is justice.
See,
I had to read it last time, so I will zoom this one.
great.
I move the governing board approve the professional staff contracts and addenda for the 2025-2026 school year as presented, and that they direct them to be issued to the staff members listed as presented.
There's been a motion and a second. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Aye, opposed. Motion carries 5-0. Oh,
Thank
hire
you.
some people.
Thank you.
Yay.
Will do.
Delightful. Item 7.1 is our standing item for a discussion of Arizona legislative or governmental activity as may be indicated. Interested?
It's been
Anyone?
quiet.
It's been very quiet.
Yes, it is.
Not getting many ASBA updates?
No.
If any.
No.
I haven't either that. I do miss those things sometimes in my inbox because of all of this junk we
Yes.
get from
They haven't been
vendors.
coming.
But I haven't seen very many of them, unfortunately, and those used to come pretty
I'll
regularly.
do a Friday update. I usually get one on Friday. Almost every week, I guess. But it's just kind of a real general recap.
Yeah.
It's not really specific by bill often. But I can pass those on to you if you want.
I would think that those, that we also
You
get,
should be getting
are
them.
getting those. They're just few and far between, and they've been less
Yep.
helpful in recent,
Mhm.
unfortunately. Yeah.
Quiet.
Okay. Agenda planning tomorrow is, Tom, 10 o'clock in person at MAC, correct?
Okay.
And is there a motion to adjourn?
I'll move. We adjourn?
Okay.
I'll second.
There's been a motion and a second to adjourn. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries 5-0. The meeting is
It's
adjourned.
adjourned.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you.
I will see you guys